So, are we all back? What have we learned? Here's our JOMAC ladder. By the way, somebody reminded me that I should tell you guys that JOMAC, remember JOMAC emotional scale? It's John and Marianne, JOMAC. It's my partner and I. That's where the name comes from, so don't Google it or anything. But it is trademarked. We're writing a book, so look for it. So, the JOMAC ladder here, it shows us that the major impediment to a flourishing and authentic life is our false belief systems that create our cognitive distortions, that give us our thoughts that lead to a negative emotion, when the emotions are the essence of our reality. Emotions define who we are and how well we're doing. So your day is nothing more than a string of emotions. Positive psychologist and researcher Barbara Fredrickson said that if you have 3 positive thoughts that lead to 3 positive emotions to 1 negative, it constitutes a good, positive, happy day. Empirical research. So, positive days, string to positive weeks, give you positive months, give you positive years, happy years, and positive, happy years give you a happy, flourishing life, doesn't it? So make a note of it. If you have 1 negative thought, you got to replace it with 3 positive thoughts. That's your goal, 3 to 1. Leave here thinking 3 to 1. So in order for us to have a flourishing, happy, authentic life, we need to climb back up the JOMAC ladder. And we have to capture the negative emotions and trace it back to the thought, define the distortions, and eliminate the false beliefs. The source of most of our uneasiness and dis-ease and lots of disease comes from our cognitive distortions. Cognitive distortions comes from memes and negative belief systems, as you know. So how does it become embedded in our brain? How does these memes and negative belief systems get embedded in our brain? Well, Mommy Dearest, she always gets the blame, but you know, it's not just Mommy Dearest. It's not just our parents, you know? We arrive on the first day of our birth, just like a brand new PC, right out of the box with hardware and operating system, but no programs or applications. Our programming begins immediately through our environment, through our experiences, through our caregivers, bit by bit, word by word, action by action. We are programmed to adapt to our environment. About the time we begin to crawl, the serious programming starts. Don't do this, don't go there, don't touch don't touch this. No, 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 no. You know how we're always doing that to the little kids. Well, and by the time kids start school, the programming for good grades, good performance, athletics, and sociability are in full swing. By now, the program is not only coming from your parents, it's coming from the clergy, the educators, the authority figures, and groups of people like religion and government and ethnic groups and society and media, through books and newspapers and TV, magazines, internet, and most importantly, through our experiences. They all have a reason, good or bad, for wanting you to believe their messages. Some of it is fact, subject to change, and some of it is just flat out fiction. The analytical part of our brain is not developed until you're about 13 or 14 years old. So the authority figures have a major impact on your life, in your early life, in a young person's life. Without the capability to analyze the information that's coming at you, a lot of times kids will buy into other people's belief systems. And much of this programming actually may lie dormant in us for years. Now let's look at a couple of specific examples of negative programming, achievement negative programming. Here's little Johnny. Now if his mom says innocently, "Johnny, don't be so stupid," it may not matter. But if he hears it often enough, and you know the looks that you get and the feeling that you get, and then you go to school and you have some bad exams and the teacher gives you the look, and then after a bad play, the coach is giving you the same feeling, then pretty soon little Johnny's going to think, oh my gosh, I'm really not so bright. And he's going to spend the rest of his adult life looking for confirmation. That's called confirmation bias, that he's not very bright. So it's easy to see how a negative belief becomes an achievement-based cognitive distortion of all or nothing thinking, overgeneralization, emotional filter, mental filter. As a matter of fact, all of the cognitive distortions can actually be tied back to an achievement-based belief. I have a personal experience. I was in middle school in Tennessee, the beautiful state of Tennessee. I used to talk like this. I argued with my teacher about a grade, and I was right, of course. So he changed the grade, but he quipped. He said, you know, with the IQ that you have, you should be happy with the grade that you got. Well, you know. Without even realizing the impact of that statement, I started to form the mental filter that I had to work much harder than other people to achieve anything in life because of my low IQ. So when I started working in positive psychology, I realized what had happened. You know, I realized, oh my gosh. So I called the school, and God bless Mrs. Engel. She was still there, and she answered the darn phone. And she said, how are you, Mary Ann? I said, I'm fine. So I asked her the question, and she said that an IQ test had never been given at our school. So she said, why do you want to know? And I said, well, Mr. Nance told me that my IQ score was low. And there was this long pause, and she said, for God's sake, Mary Ann, you were the valedictorian of our high school. I was. Yet I allowed that one comment to affect me for years. It's easy to see how this seemingly small negative achievement belief can create a lifetime of cognitive distortions. So now let's look at the other extreme. Do you know parents that think that their kid is the best, the brightest, the cutest, the smartest in the whole world? Well, it seems like it's good self-esteem training 101. But the parents' comments seem so empowering, you know, and they say these things, but it sets up an expectation, a performance expectation that's hard for a lot of the kids to achieve. Psychologist Carol Dweck's research showed that kids who were told that they were smart gave up on difficult tasks much sooner than kids who were told that perseverance and effort was what was important and not the end result. Really important research for some of us parents to know.